My name is Katherine Corbett. I'm 31. My parents hijacked my birthday into a Cipriani Wall Street donor dinner, stuffed with investors and the right families. Mid-meal, my father took the mic and staged a public execution. A server delivered a cream envelope to my table, a notarized disownment letter, signed by my father, signed by my mother Carolyn, signed by my younger sister Gabrielle, witnessed by the family attorney. Carolyn didn't whisper. She sliced. "You chose this, Katherine. Now we do too." Gabrielle, my sister, filmed my face like content. I didn't beg. I didn't argue. I took the letter, folded it, and stood to leave. They still overlooked my husband beside me, quiet in a plain navy suit, until they discovered who he really was and how quickly he could wipe out everything my family thought made them untouchable. The Corbett family didn't just have money, they had legitimacy. Corbett Capital Partners, a private equity firm in the financial district with a portfolio worth $890 million, 28 employees, and a client list that read like a Forbes index. Top 20 PE firms in New York City, my father Preston liked to remind people at dinner parties. As if ranking 19th was somehow different from 20th. Their offices occupied the 42nd floor of a glass tower 3 blocks from Wall Street, corner views of the harbor, mahogany conference tables, original artwork that cost more than most people's houses. My mother Carolyn ran operations as managing partner, ice queen in Chanel suits, the kind of woman who could make a handshake feel like a threat. They lived in an Upper East Side penthouse at 72nd and Park Avenue, $8 million. 3,200 square feet. Central Park views that changed with the seasons, plus the Hamptons summer house, $4.5 million, ocean access, 10 bedrooms for weekend guests who measured their worth in helicopter minutes from Manhattan. "We don't invest in feelings, Katherine," my mother told me once, during what she called a career intervention when I was 24. "We invest in returns. You chose books over billions." That was 7 years ago. The phase she expected me to grow out of never ended. I was supposed to study finance at Cornell, family requirement, non-negotiable. I enrolled in 2012 with a 3.8 GPA and every intention of making them proud. For 3 years, I sat in lectures about derivatives and market efficiency and leveraged buyouts, taking notes in leather-bound journals my mother bought me for Christmas. Then, senior year, October 2016, I walked into the campus library for what should have been a quick study session. I watched a graduate student, library science program, help an elderly woman navigate the computer catalog, patient, kind, explaining the Dewey Decimal System like it was the most important thing in the world. Something shifted in my chest. 2 weeks later, I changed my major. The email from my mother arrived within an hour of the registrar processing my request. Subject line, "Your future. Katherine, your father and I are deeply disappointed. A librarian? With your pedigree? This is unacceptable. We will not fund this mistake." Mother. Not love, Mom. Just mother. Formal, cold, final. Cornell tuition was $58,000 a year. I took out $80,000 in student loans to finish my degree. They didn't come to graduation. My mother sent a text at 9:47 a.m. on commencement day. "Let us know when you're ready to be serious." I never replied. That was the first time I learned that silence could be survival. My sister Gabrielle graduated from Wharton 3 years ago with an MBA and a job offer from Corbett Capital before she'd even walked across the stage. Starting salary, $180,000. Junior analyst position created specifically for her. Company Porsche Cayenne, $95,000, delivered on her first day with a red bow. She had 45,000 Instagram followers. Lifestyle influencer as a side hobby. Photos of champagne brunches and business casual outfits tagged #bossbabe and #familybusiness. Her apartment in Chelsea, 1 bedroom, $4,800 a month, paid for by the family trust fund I'd been quietly removed from, sometime around my Cornell betrayal. Last year, family dinner at Le Bernardin. Gabrielle swirled her third glass of Bordeaux and looked at me across the table with that specific smile she'd perfected, sweet on the surface, poison underneath. Katie, bless your heart, still stamping books for minimum wage. When are you going to get a real job? My actual salary was $55,000, not minimum wage, but Gabrielle had never cared about facts when a good insult was available. I didn't correct her, just cut my salmon into smaller pieces and changed the subject. Her Instagram story that night. A boomerang video of the Corbett Capital office lobby. Marble floors gleaming. Caption: Family business, greater than your 9 to 5. Tagged location, where legends work. 127 likes. 8 comments. Slay Queen! Goals! Teach me your ways. I saw it. Closed the app. Went to bed early. What else could I do? May 18th. My father's 61st birthday. Le Bernardin private dining room. Tasting menu, $850 per person. 12 seats arranged around an oval table covered in white linen. I sat in seat 11, near the staff door. Close enough to hear the kitchen chaos, far enough from the center that conversation flowed around me like water around a stone. My mother stood at 8:30 p.m. with a champagne flute, announcing that Corbett Capital had just closed a $240 million deal. Everyone raised their glasses. Applause. My father beamed. No one mentioned that I'd been promoted to senior librarian the week before. No one asked. Preston had 3 scotches in him when he leaned back in his chair, swirling his glass, looking at me with something between pity and contempt. You know what kills me, Katie? His voice carried that specific slur of expensive liquor and expensive disappointment. You had potential, past tense. Now you're just comfortable being mediocre. I set down my fork, nodded. I'm comfortable with my choices. That's the problem. He drained his glass. I excused myself at 9:15 p.m., said I had an early shift at the library. True, technically, I opened at 10 on Saturdays, but mostly I just needed to leave before something inside me cracked. Walking to the subway, I heard my mother's voice drifting through the restaurant's open door. She was talking to Gabrielle near the coat check, didn't realize I was still within earshot. We need to finalize the trust documents, remove her name. She's not one of us anymore. I froze on the sidewalk. 32nd Street, spring rain starting to fall, taxis splashing through puddles. Carolyn's voice echoed in my head. Not one of us anymore. I didn't go back inside, didn't confront her, just pulled my coat tighter and walked to the subway station, rain soaking through my cheap flats. That was the moment I knew the disownment was coming. I just didn't know it would be public. Tuesday morning, 8:45 a.m. I unlocked the staff entrance of Queens Public Library's Flushing branch, 4117 Main Street, a concrete building from 1964 that desperately needed renovation. 12,000 square feet, 85,000 books, 8,500 active cardholders. Most of them were immigrants. Chinese families from Flushing, Korean grandmothers practicing English pronunciation, Hispanic students doing homework on computers held together with hope and IT department prayers, South Asian parents looking for citizenship test study guides. My desk was on the 2nd floor, window overlooking Main Street. One personal photo, Theo, smiling at our City Hall wedding 3 years ago. 12 guests total. Gabrielle didn't come. At 10:30 a.m., Mrs. Chen approached my desk. 65 years old, Chinese immigrant, attended my ESL class for 14 months. She held a worn copy of Charlotte's Web, pages soft from repeated reading. Miss Katherine, her accent thick, words careful. I read whole book, in English, first time ever. She pressed the book into my hands like a sacred object. You changed my life. I felt something crack open in my chest, the good kind of breaking, the kind that lets light in. You did the work, Mrs. Chen. I just helped you find the door. She smiled, tears in her eyes, and walked away to return the book. My manager, Denise, stopped by at noon. 58 years old, been a librarian for 32 years, wore cardigans with cat pins and had infinite patience. There's some Foundation bigwig touring branches today, she said, scanning her notes. Something about funding opportunities. Might swing by here. I nodded, already turning back to my computer to process holds. What I didn't know, it was Theo's team doing research for a $50 million grant, and they'd already decided where the money would go. Tuesday and Thursday nights, 6 to 7:30 p.m., I taught ESL in the basement classroom. 24 folding chairs, whiteboard from 1998, fluorescent lights with one bulb perpetually flickering. The library budget had been cut 3 times in 5 years. I bought my own markers. 18 students, ages 22 to 70. Maria from Honduras, cleaning houses for minimum wage, practicing interview English. Mr. Park from Korea, learning to read so he could help his grandchildren with homework. A Syrian family still learning the subway system and the alphabet simultaneously. They brought homemade food to share, samosas and empanadas and dumplings made by hands that had crossed oceans to be here. We ate during the 15-minute break, laughing over mispronunciations, celebrating small victories. Last week, Maria sent me an email. Subject: Thank you, Miss Katherine. I practice interview English you teach. I get new job, $18 an hour. My daughter's so proud. You angel. Maria R. $18 an hour, more than she'd ever made. Her daughter could stay in school instead of working weekends. All because Maria learned to say, I am reliable and detail-oriented, without stumbling. I printed the email and put it in my desk drawer at home, next to 46 others just like it. Notes from students telling me I'd changed their lives. I'd never shown them to anyone, not even Theo. After class Thursday night, I packed up my materials, handouts I'd designed myself, worksheets printed on the library's ancient copier, found a note on my desk, handwriting shaky with age. You teach me read. Now I read to grandchildren. You give me voice. Mr. Park. I folded it carefully, put it in my coat pocket, felt the weight of it all the way home. I got home at 9:15 p.m. to our Williamsburg apartment. 4th floor walk-up, building from 1952. 480 square feet. $2,100 a month, which took a quarter of my monthly salary after taxes. The radiator clanked in winter. The shower had terrible water pressure. One window faced a brick wall, but it was mine. Ours. Not funded by trust funds or family connections. We paid rent on time every month with money we earned. Theo was already home, standing in our 6-by-4-foot kitchen, making pasta. He turned when I walked in, smiled that easy smile. How was your day? Not perfunctory, genuinely asking, genuinely caring. Mrs. Chen finished Charlotte's Web. She cried. That's beautiful. He meant it. I could hear it in his voice. That warmth my family had never managed when talking about my work. We ate pasta at our IKEA table, talked about nothing important, and I felt more at home than I ever had in the Upper East Side penthouse. After dinner, Theo went to shower. His laptop sat open on the coffee table. He'd been working before I got home. The screensaver had timed out. Email preview visible on the screen. $50 million. Queens Library Initiative. Board approval confirmed. Announcement set for August 24th. Sender, a.rivera@queensbp.gov. I stared at it. $50 million. Queens Library. August 24th. That was my birthday. I assumed Theo did consulting work for library foundations. He'd mentioned it vaguely when we first met. Educational philanthropy, he called it. This must be one of his projects. Maybe he helped write the grant proposal. I closed the laptop without reading further. Trusted him. Didn't pry. August 24th felt far away. I had no idea it would be the night everything changed. 4 years ago, November 12th, 2020, New York Public Library fundraiser at the Stephen A. Schwartzman Building. I attended representing the Queens branch. We were encouraged to network, though I hated the forced small talk of donor events. 7 p.m. I wore a $90 dress from Macy's. Felt underdressed immediately. There was a photo display near the main reading room. The public library. A photographic essay. Black and white images of readers from different decades, different backgrounds, all finding refuge in the same space. I reached for the exhibition book at the same time as someone else. Our hands touched the cover simultaneously. Sorry, he pulled back. Navy blazer, jeans, brown eyes that looked genuinely kind, rare at these events. No, go ahead. I started to step away. We could look together. He opened to the first page. I'm Theo. Katherine. We talked for 2 hours. Forgot about the fundraiser entirely. He told me he believed libraries were the heart of democracy, the only place where everyone, regardless of wealth, had equal access to knowledge. I thought, finally, someone who gets it. We exchanged numbers at 9:43 p.m. He texted me the next morning asking for coffee. 6 months later, we were engaged. Married at City Hall with 12 guests. Friends, Theo's small circle. I didn't invite my family. Didn't see the point in giving them another opportunity to express disappointment. What I didn't know. Theo had arrived at that fundraiser with Angela Rivera, then Deputy Borough President of Queens, now Borough President. She'd seen him notice me across the room, seen something shift in his expression. Go talk to her, Angela had whispered. She doesn't know who I am, Theo said. Let's keep it that way. Angela winked. Your secret. They'd separated in the crowd. I never saw them arrive together. Never knew they knew each other. Some secrets are kept out of love. Theo worked from home. That's what I understood. Laptop, phone calls, occasional meetings in the city. Educational consulting, he called it when people asked. I assumed he made somewhere around 80 or 90,000 a year, comfortable but not wealthy, perfect for our simple life. He drove a 2016 Subaru Outback, dark green, 128,000 miles on the odometer. I'd suggested getting something newer last year, just a gentle mention, nothing pushy. This one runs fine, he said. Money isn't everything. He bought hoodies from Uniqlo, shopped at Trader Joe's, rode the subway, insisted on splitting rent 50-50, even though I suspected he could probably afford more. But I appreciated it. The equality, the partnership, the refusal to make me feel like I needed to be taken care of. 6 months into our marriage, I'd borrowed his laptop. Mine had crashed during a software update. I was checking email when I noticed a browser tab still open. Forbes. 30 under 30, social impact. I clicked without thinking. The page loaded. Photo of Theo. Professional headshot, suit I'd never seen him wear. Caption underneath. Theo Ashford, founder, Ashford Literacy Fund, $2.1 billion endowment. I stared at the screen. $2.1 billion. I heard the apartment door open. Theo coming back from the grocery store. Closed the tab quickly. Heart pounding. Didn't mention it. Maybe it was someone else with the same name. Coincidence. The photo looked like him, but photos could be misleading. I pushed it out of my mind. We were happy. Why complicate it with questions? Looking back now, I realize I didn't want to know. Knowing meant confronting why he'd hidden it. Knowing meant asking if our entire relationship was built on a lie. So I chose ignorance. Chose trust instead of clarity. November 2022. 2 years ago. I brought Theo to family dinner at the penthouse. I'd been putting it off, but my mother's passive-aggressive emails were becoming impossible to ignore. When do we get to meet this mysterious husband of yours? The penthouse dining room seated 14. Crystal chandelier, original Rothko on the wall, views of Central Park lit up for winter. Theo wore khakis and a button-down. I'd told him business casual. He looked perfect to me. But standing next to Preston in his custom Tom Ford suit, next to Gabrielle in her Burberry dress, he looked ordinary. My father asked the inevitable question during appetizers. "So, Theo, what do you do?" "I work in educational philanthropy." Theo's voice was steady, calm. My mother cut him off before he could elaborate. "So, nonprofit?" The way she said it, like he'd admitted to unemployment. "Yes, ma'am." Gabrielle didn't look up from her phone for the entire first course. Just scrolled through Instagram, occasionally showing my mother a photo, whispering comments I couldn't hear. Theo left at 8:50 p.m., said he had a meeting early the next morning. We hadn't even gotten to dessert. After he was gone, my mother sipped her wine and gave me that look, the one that said she was about to deliver criticism disguised as concern. "Katherine, sweetie, you could have done better. I know librarians don't meet successful men, but..." "Really? He drives a Subaru." "I love him. Love doesn't pay for retirement homes, dear." On the subway ride home, Theo had already taken a car, needed to prep for his meeting. I replayed the dinner in my mind. How quiet he'd been. How his jaw had clenched when my mother said non-profit like it was a disease. "I'm sorry about them," I said when I got home. Theo was sitting on the couch with his laptop. Looked up, expression unreadable. "Don't be, they showed me exactly who they are." Pause. "Katie, if they ever really hurt you, I mean badly, tell me. Promise?" "It's just words. I'm used to it." "Promise me." "I promise." 3 months later, when the disownment letter arrived, I wouldn't tell him until the night before the dinner. I'd break that promise, and I'd pay for it with the weight of carrying that envelope alone for 3 weeks. August 1st, 2:30 p.m. I was processing book returns when Denise brought me an envelope that had arrived in the morning mail. Heavy, cream cardstock, expensive. My work address on the front in calligraphy, Miss Katherine Corbett, Queens Public Library, 4117 Main Street, Flushing, NY. Not Mrs. Ashford. Not my married name. Deliberate. I opened it in my office. Embossed gold logo, Corbett Capital Partners. The invitation itself was museum-quality paper, 300 GSM weight, the kind used for weddings of people who rent private islands. "Preston and Carolyn Corbett request the pleasure of your company at an investor dinner celebrating Corbett Capital Partners' 25th anniversary. August 24th, 7 p.m. Cipriani Wall Street. Black tie. RSVP. By August 10th. A handwritten note was paper-clipped to the corner. My mother's distinctive script. Sharp, angular, no wasted ink. "Katherine, your birthday falls on this date. How convenient. Do try to dress appropriately. Bring your husband if you must. Mother." Not mom, not love, just mother. Formal as a business memo. I read it 3 times. Felt something cold settle in my stomach. 24 days until my birthday. Until my 31st year officially documented. And they were celebrating it as an afterthought to a corporate event. How convenient, she'd written. As if my birth was an inconvenience that happened to align with their timeline. I showed Theo that night. He read the invitation, the note, his face carefully neutral. "Do you want to go? It's my birthday. And maybe they're trying, olive branch." "Katie." He set the invitation on our coffee table. "They mailed this to your work. They called me your husband if you must. This isn't an olive branch." I know. I did know. But some part of me, the part that was still 7 years old, desperate for my parents' approval, wanted to believe. "But if I don't go, they'll say I'm the one burning bridges, that I'm bitter, that I can't be civil." Theo sighed, pulled me close. "Okay, we'll go." "You don't have to." "Yes, I do. If you're walking into that room, I'm walking in with you. You won't even wear a tux? Small smile. Deal. Navy suit. Final offer. I laughed. Felt marginally better. At least I wouldn't be alone. August 15th, 10:07 a.m. I was drinking coffee in the staff break room when my phone buzzed. Email from events@corbettcapital.com, not from my mother personally, from the event coordinator. Subject, seating assignment, August 24th, event Ms. Corbett, you are assigned to table 18. Guest, +1. Dress code, black tie required, no exceptions. That was it. No looking forward to seeing you. No happy early birthday. Just cold logistics. I opened the attachment. Seating chart, PDF. Elaborate diagram, color-coded by category. Tables 1 to 8, VIP, investors and family. Red dots. Tables 9 to 17, business partners and associates. Blue dots. Table 18, miscellaneous guests plus staff overflow. Gray dot. I zoomed in on table 18, located in the corner, far from the stage. Listed attendees, Katherine Corbett +1, +6, TBD. 6 people to be determined, meaning they hadn't even finalized who I'd be sitting with. I was filler, last-minute additions. The overflow table for people who didn't fit the carefully curated guest list. I scrolled through the full attendee list. 155 names. Saw Angela Rivera, Queensboro President. Table 3. Jeffrey Hunt, CEO, Penguin Random House. Table 5. Multiple Fortune 500 CEOs. Senators. New York socialites whose names appeared in the Times Society pages. And me. Table 18. Miscellaneous. Denise walked into the break room, saw my face. You okay? I closed my phone. Yeah, just family stuff. She squeezed my shoulder. Didn't push. I was grateful. August 17th. The text started. Gabrielle. Can't wait for the party. First message from her in 3 months. I stared at my phone, suspicious. Gabrielle. What are you wearing? Please tell me not that brown dress from Easter. I didn't respond. Gabrielle. Mom said to remind you, it's black tie, not librarian chic, lol. Still didn't respond. August 18th, 11:32 p.m. Gabrielle. By the way, Mom said to remind you. It's black tie, not librarian chic, lol. And maybe skip the speech? Last time you talked about your students, people literally left to get drinks. 8 texts total between August 17th and 23rd. Each one a small cut. Each one designed to make me feel small, unwelcome, out of place. I didn't reply to any of them. Just read them, felt my stomach tighten, and deleted the notifications. Theo noticed on August 20th. She's texting you. Yeah, ignore it. What's she saying? Nothing new. I put my phone face down. Just Gabrielle being Gabrielle. August 23rd, 9:15 p.m. Final text. Gabrielle. See you tomorrow, sis. It's gonna be epic fire emoji, devil emoji. I should have known what was coming. That night, I couldn't sleep. Stared at the ceiling of our small bedroom, listening to Theo breathe beside me. Got up at 2:30 a.m. for water. Theo's phone was charging on the kitchen counter. Screen lit up with a notification preview. Angela Rivera. Theo, confirm you're attending tomorrow? Need final headcount for the announcement. This is going to be incredible. The announcement. What announcement? I stared at the message. Library funding, probably. Theo was consulting on something big. That $50 million grant I'd seen referenced in his emails. My birthday was tomorrow. The dinner was tomorrow. And something incredible was being announced. I put the phone down. Didn't snoop further. Went back to bed. Tried to sleep. Failed. Lay there with dread I couldn't name settling like concrete in my chest. August 23rd, 10:30 p.m. Our Brooklyn apartment felt smaller than usual, walls pressing in as I laid out my dress for the next night. Black, simple, knee-length, $180 from Nordstrom Rack. I'd saved for 2 months to buy it, told myself it was an investment, something I could wear to other events, maybe library fundraisers, job interviews if I ever applied for administrative positions. Theo's navy suit hung beside it on our closet door, the good one, tailored but not flashy. We looked at them side by side, our armor for tomorrow night. "We don't have to go," Theo said from the bed. He'd said it 3 times already today. "Yes, we do. Katie. If I don't show up, it proves their point, that I can't handle their world, that I'm too sensitive, too bitter." I sat down beside him. I need to show them I'm fine, that their opinion doesn't break me. He pulled me close, kissed the top of my head. "You're the strongest person I know." "I don't feel strong." "That's how I know you are. Strong people doubt themselves. Weak people are too arrogant to question." I breathed in the smell of him, laundry detergent and the faint cologne he wore maybe twice a year. Felt marginally better. "I'm proud of you," he said quietly. "What you do matters more than any deal they'll close tomorrow." I wanted to believe him, chose to, even if doubt lingered. His phone rang, he glanced at the screen, stood up. "I need to take this work thing." Stepped onto our fire escape, our balcony, we joked, though it was just rusted metal and a view of the building next door. I heard his voice through the window, muffled but audible, professional, formal. "Yes, confirm the announcement for tomorrow night? The 50 million? Yes, I'll be there. No, we'll handle it sensitively. She doesn't know yet. I'll tell her after." She doesn't know yet. My stomach dropped. She who? What didn't I know? But I'd promised myself I wouldn't snoop, wouldn't question. Trust was the foundation of our marriage. If Theo was keeping something from me, he had a reason. He came back inside 5 minutes later, smiled. "Sorry about that. Everything okay?" "Yeah, just finalizing details for a project." He kissed my forehead. "Let's get some sleep. Big day tomorrow." We went to bed. He fell asleep within minutes. I lay awake until 3 a.m., staring at shadows on the ceiling, wondering what I didn't know yet. August 24th, my 31st birthday. I woke up at 7:15 a.m. to Theo already awake, making coffee in our tiny kitchen. Pancakes on the stove, my birthday tradition. He sang "Happy Birthday" off-key, made me laugh despite the knot in my stomach. "31 looks good on you," he said, sliding a plate across our IKEA table. I tried to eat, managed half a pancake before nausea won. "You okay?" "Just nervous. We can still cancel." I already RSVP'd. Work was impossible. I processed returns mechanically, smiled at patrons without really seeing them. Mrs. Chen came in at noon, brought me a small wrapped box. "Happy birthday, Miss Katherine." Inside, a hand-knitted bookmark, blue and gold thread, intricate pattern. Must have taken her hours. "Mrs. Chen, you didn't have to. You give me so much. I give small thing back." I hugged her, felt tears threatening, pulled myself together before they could fall. At 4 p.m., I left work early. Denise hugged me, told me to have a wonderful birthday. I almost laughed. Wonderful wasn't the word I'd use. Home by 5 o'clock. Started getting ready at 5:30. Black dress. Minimal jewelry. Small earrings, no necklace. I didn't own expensive jewelry. Hair down, simple, makeup light. Theo emerged from the bathroom at 6:15 in his navy suit. He looked good. Handsome in that understated way that had first attracted me. No flash, just solid presence. "Ready?" he asked. "No, but let's go anyway." We took the subway to Wall Street. Emerged at 6:50 p.m. into the summer evening heat. Walked 3 blocks to Cipriani, passing people in $1,000 suits arriving in town cars. We arrived on foot. Subway sweat still drying on my back. Theo took my hand as we approached the entrance. Squeezed once. "I'm with you." he said quietly. No matter what happens in there. I squeezed back. Didn't trust my voice. We walked through the doors at 6:58 p.m. into the lion's den. Cipriani Wall Street at 7 p.m. looked like a scene from a movie about people who don't worry about rent. Vaulted ceilings, marble columns, chandeliers dripping crystal. The space had once been a bank, appropriate given the currency here wasn't money, but status. We bypassed the valet. They eyed our subway arrival with barely concealed disdain. A woman in a Chanel gown stepped out of a Bentley behind us, heels clicking on marble like gunshots. Inside, the ballroom opened up. 1,500 square feet of old-world luxury. Tables arranged in careful hierarchy, each one a statement of worth. At the front, near the stage, tables 1 through 8, dressed in white orchids and champagne in crystal flutes that caught the light like liquid gold. I scanned the room, found table 18, far corner, 40 feet from the stage, the only table with carnations, grocery store quality, wilting slightly in the heat. Water glasses instead of champagne. 8 place settings, but only 2 had name cards. Neither had my name. The host appeared. Clipboard, headset, professional smile. Name? Katherine Corbett. Her eyes flicked to her list. Ah, table 18, corner. She pointed without looking. Dismissed us with practiced efficiency. We walked through the room, past table 1 where my mother held court in a silver gown that probably cost more than my yearly salary. She saw me, smiled. The kind of smile predators give prey before the kill. Table 3. Angela Rivera, Queensborough president, deep in conversation with someone I didn't recognize. She glanced up as we passed. Her eyes caught on Theo, widened slightly, then looked away. Odd. Table 5. Jeffrey Hunt, CEO, Penguin Random House, according to the name card visible from where I stood. He was talking animatedly to 2 other executives, hands gesturing. We reached table 18. 6 people already seated. None of them familiar. Mid-level associates, I guessed. People invited out of obligation, not importance. They barely looked up when we sat. The woman next to me, name card said Jennifer Martin, analyst, gave a tight smile. Corporate events, right? Always awkward. Always, I agreed. Theo sat to my left, quiet, observing. His jaw had that tension I'd seen at our first family dinner. I put my hand on his knee under the table, felt him relax slightly. A server came by with champagne, skipped our table, went straight to table 17. Jennifer noticed. I think we're the water table. She laughed, but it was hollow. I looked at the centerpiece. Carnations, 6 stems, supermarket quality, 49 cents a bunch at most. Every other table had orchids that probably cost $200 each. The message was clear. You're here, but you don't matter. 7:15 p.m. The room filled, voices rising, laughter performing wealth and connection. I watched my father work the room, shaking hands, clapping shoulders. My mother beside him, gracious and cold in equal measure. Gabrielle near the stage, camera in hand, taking candid photos for Instagram. None of them looked at table 18. 7:25 p.m. My mother walked past our table. Not toward us, just past on her way to greet someone more important. She paused, looked at me like she'd just noticed I existed. Katherine, not honey, not happy birthday, just my name. Hi, Mom. Her eyes traveled over my dress, down, up. The assessment took 3 seconds, felt like hours. Then she turned to the woman beside her, someone dripping in Harry Winston diamonds, and spoke just loud enough for me to hear. That's the librarian I mentioned, my daughter. The pause before daughter. Slight, deliberate, like the word tasted wrong. The woman looked at me, smiled politely, looked away. My mother moved on without another word. Jennifer shifted uncomfortably beside me. Family? Unfortunately. Theo's hand found mine under the table, held tight. 7:30 p.m. Gabrielle appeared at our table, Sony A7IV camera hanging from her neck like a trophy, phone in hand as backup. She wore a red dress that cost more than my monthly rent, smiled her influencer smile, all teeth, no warmth. Katie! Fake enthusiasm. Performance art. Happy birthday, sis! She raised her phone, started recording. Say hi to Instagram. She panned to Theo. And this is… Sorry, what's your name again? Theo, he said flatly. Right. Theo. She giggled to her friend hovering behind her. Another influencer type, designer dress, bored expression. They took the subway here. Can you believe it? Her friend laughed, cruel, delighted. Gabrielle leaned closer to me, still filming. So what do you think of the party? Pretty fancy for a Tuesday night, right? I know it's technically your birthday, but this is really about the company. 25 years of excellence. She turned the camera to herself. Family legacy things. You wouldn't understand. She walked away, already editing the video, thumbs flying across her screen. I felt heat rise in my face, humiliation like acid in my throat. Breathe, Theo whispered. I did. In through my nose, out through my mouth, counted to 5. The table beside us, table 17, had watched the entire interaction. I saw pity in their eyes. Pity was worse than mockery. 7:35 p.m. Servers began bringing appetizers. Seared scallops for tables 1 to 17. Plated beautifully, microgreens, sauce drizzled with surgical precision. Table 18 got house salad, iceberg lettuce, ranch dressing in a small cup on the side. Jennifer picked at hers. I've been to prison weddings with better food. I almost laughed. Would have, if the situation wasn't so perfectly designed to humiliate. The man across from me, name card said, David Sullivan, Junior Associate, leaned forward. First time at one of these Corbett events? First time invited, yeah. They're always like this. Hierarchy visible in everything. Last year, table 19 didn't even get chairs, they stood. You're joking. Wish I was. He stabbed a tomato. Welcome to corporate feudalism. I looked around the room, saw the careful gradations of status made visible. White orchids versus carnations, champagne versus water, seared scallops versus iceberg lettuce. Every detail a message. You are less than. At table 1, my mother raised her glass in a toast. The room quieted. She said something I couldn't hear from 40 feet away. Laughter rippled. Applause. We didn't clap at table 18. Couldn't hear what was worth celebrating. 7:40 p.m. I noticed something that made my chest tight. Everyone at our table had name cards. White cardstock, gold embossed lettering. Jennifer Martin, David Sullivan, Robert Chen. Even the 2 people who'd arrived late had cards waiting. Except me, except Theo. 2 empty spots where our names should be. Just blank table. As if we were interchangeable. Unnamed. Unimportant. Jennifer noticed me staring. You didn't get a card? Apparently not. Wow, that's deliberate. She looked uncomfortable. I'm sorry. Don't be. I'm used to it. Theo leaned close to my ear. We can leave. Not yet. Katie. Not yet. I didn't know why I was staying. Pride, maybe. Stubbornness. The same part of me that had changed majors despite my family's threats, that had married Theo despite their disapproval. I wouldn't let them win by making me run. But God, I wanted to run. Our table was positioned 15 feet from the kitchen doors. Swinging doors, brushed steel, constantly opening and closing as servers rushed through with trays. Every time they opened, noise spilled out. Clattering plates, shouted orders. the chaos of a commercial kitchen at full capacity. At table 1, they heard classical music from the string quartet near the stage. At table 18, we heard, "6 scallops for table 9, move it, sauce is breaking." David caught my eye. Immersive dining experience. This time I did laugh. Couldn't help it. The absurdity was too much. Theo didn't laugh, just watched the room with that careful stillness I'd noticed before, like he was cataloging everything, filing it away. 7:50 p.m. Gabrielle was back, this time without her friend. Just her, phone raised, recording. She walked up to our table slowly, deliberately, making a show of it. "Hey Katie, quick question." She leaned on the back of my chair, camera angled down at my face. "How does it feel to be here? You know, at a real business event. Must be different from the library, right?" I looked at her, really looked. Saw the cruelty in her eyes, the performance of it. She was 26 years old, and she'd learned to weaponize every privilege she'd been born into. "It's different," I said quietly. "I bet," she laughed. "I mean, look at this place. Cipriani, do you even know what the rental fee is for this room?" "No." $50,000, just for the space. She panned the camera around. "But I guess when you're celebrating excellence, you can't cheap out, right?" She walked away. I watched her go, saw her upload the video immediately, thumbs flying across her screen. Hashtag it, post it. The table beside us had gone quiet, watching, witnesses to my humiliation. I felt something inside me go numb. Protection mechanism, shutting down before the pain could get worse. Theo's hand stayed on mine. Anchor in the storm. 7:45 p.m. My father stood up from table 1, walked to the stage with the confidence of a man who'd never questioned his place in the world, took the microphone from its stand. "Good evening, everyone." His voice boomed through the speaker system, crystal clear. "Thank you for joining us tonight." Applause, polite, expectant. "Before we begin the formal program, I have some family business to attend to." He smiled, benevolent, paternal. "As some of you know, tonight also happens to be my daughter Catherine's birthday." Heads turned, looking for me. I felt 155 pairs of eyes find table 18. I froze. "Catherine, could you stand up, please?" I didn't move, couldn't. Every muscle locked. Theo's hand tightened on mine. "You don't have to." But I did. Because not standing would give them ammunition. See? She can't even be civil. I stood, slowly, felt every eye in the room on me. There she is. My father's voice dripped with something I couldn't name. Pride? Mockery? Both? 31 years old today, my oldest daughter. He reached into his jacket pocket, pulled out a cream-colored envelope, the same kind the invitation had arrived in. Heavy cardstock, expensive. "Catherine, I have something for you." My stomach dropped. A server appeared at my elbow. "He'd like you to come up to the stage, miss." I looked at Theo. His face was stone, jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle jump. "I'll go with you," he said. "No." I don't know why I said it. Didn't want him tainted by this. Didn't want him to be part of the spectacle. "Stay here." I walked. 40 feet from table 18 to the stage, longest walk of my life. Past table 17, table 16, people whispering, phones coming out, table 9, table 8, getting closer. My mother at table 1, watching with her champagne flute raised halfway to her lips. Frozen, beautiful, cruel. Table 3, Angela Rivera. She looked confused, concerned even. Started to stand, then sat back down. I reached the stage, climbed the 3 steps, my heels loud on the wood. My father handed me the envelope, smiled for the cameras. Gabrielle was filming, of course. Several guests had their phones out now, documenting. "Happy birthday, Catherine." I took it, felt the weight, heavier than a card, too formal for a gift certificate. My hands shook as I opened it. 2 pages, legal letterhead. Corbett Capital Partners, Legal division. My eyes scanned the first paragraph. Notice of disownment and removal from family trust. The words blurred. I blinked, focused. Katherine Marie Corbett is hereby formally removed from all family financial instruments, trusts, inheritance provisions, and company holdings, effective immediately. This action is taken due to irreconcilable differences in values and life choices that are inconsistent with the Corbett family legacy. Signed, Preston Corbett. Carolyn Corbett Gabrielle. Corbett witnessed and notarized by James Patterson, family attorney. Today's date, August 24th, 2024. My birthday. I read it twice, 3 times. The words didn't change. The room was silent, waiting. My mother's voice cut through from table 1, clear, projected, performative. From all of us, dear. I looked up, saw her standing now, champagne glass still in hand. She raised it slightly. A toast. You've made your choices, Katherine. We're making ours. 155 people watching, phones recording. Gabrielle still filming from stage left, zooming in on my face, trying to catch the moment I broke. I felt something settle in my chest. Not pain, not shock, just clarity. I'd spent 7 years trying to earn their approval. 7 years hoping they'd see that my choices had value, that teaching Mrs. Chen to read mattered as much as closing a $200 million deal. They never would. This letter proved it. I folded the papers, carefully, precisely, put them back in the envelope. Thank you for making this official, I said. My voice didn't shake, flat, calm, clinical. I didn't explain, didn't defend, didn't beg, just turned and walked off the stage. The room stayed silent. Shocked silence. The kind that follows a car crash, those first few seconds before the screaming starts. I walked back toward table 18, one foot in front of the other, breathing steady. Don't break. Don't give them the satisfaction. Theo stood up as I approached, started walking toward me. We met halfway, between tables 12 and 13. He didn't ask, just put his arm around me, turned toward the exit, and then a voice stopped us cold. Theo? Female voice, confused, from table 3. Theo Ashford? We froze. Angela Rivera stood up, Queensborough president, professional dress, intelligent eyes, expression cycling through confusion to recognition to something like shock. Is that? She stepped away from her table, walking toward us. Theo, I didn't expect to see you here. I thought you were attending in official capacity tomorrow for the... She stopped, looked at me, at Theo, back to me. Realization dawned on her face. Oh my God, you're Katherine? Katherine Corbett? I stared at her. Do we know each other? I know your husband. She looked at Theo, then back at the stage where my father still stood, frozen, then at my mother, then back to us. Does your family know who? No, Theo said quietly. They don't. The room had gone from silent to whispers, heads turning, people noticing the exchange. At table 5, Jeffrey Hunt stood up. CEO, Penguin Random House. I'd read his name card earlier. He walked toward us, purpose in his stride. Theo Ashford. He extended his hand. I thought that was you. Didn't expect to see you at table 18. He laughed, confused. What are you doing in the corner? Theo shook his hand. Attending with my wife. Jeffrey's eyes went to me. Your wife. Wait. He looked at the stage, at my father. Corbett. Is she... Are you related to... More people standing now, phones coming out. I heard someone at table 7 say, Google Theo Ashford, right now. And I watched as the room started to shift. Whispers becoming voices, voices becoming questions. Someone at table 9, holy shit, that's Ashford from the Literacy Fund. Table 6, 3 billion? Are you serious? Table 4, he's at table 18? Why the hell is he at table 18? My mother's face went white. My father stepped down from the stage, confused. Gabrielle lowered her camera, staring. And Theo looked at me. Just looked at me. Expression asking permission. I nodded, let them know. 20 phones emerged across the ballroom, screens lighting up like fireflies, frantic typing, search results loading. I watched it happen in real time, the information spreading like wildfire. Table 7. A woman gasped, showed her screen to the man beside her. He grabbed his own phone. Searched. Table 11. Forbes 30 under 30. Social impact. That's him. Table 14. 3.1 billion endowment. Are you kidding me? Angela Rivera still stood beside us, looking between Theo and me like she was solving an equation that didn't add up. You're married to Katherine Corbett. Not a question. Statement of disbelief. And they... She gestured to the stage. They just disowned her, publicly. Yes. Theo's voice was level, cold. Jeffrey Hunt pulled out his own phone. Not searching. He already knew. Just scrolling through something. Theo, I had no idea you'd be here tonight. If I'd known... He looked at table 18. Carnations, water glasses. Jesus Christ. More people gathering now, forming a small crowd around us. Not hostile, curious, shocked. A man from table 4 I didn't recognize. You're the Ashford Fund, right? The education initiative? Yes. We use your digital literacy platform in our school district. It's revolutionary. Theo nodded acknowledgement. Didn't elaborate. Someone at table 8 was reading aloud from their phone. Ashford Literacy Fund, $3.1 billion endowment. Partnerships with Amazon Kindle Education, Google Digital Libraries. Board member of New York Public Library. Library of Congress Foundation, Forbes under 40 social impact. Pause. Holy shit. The whispers cascaded, table to table, phone to phone. Business Insider headline visible on someone's screen near table 6. Ashford Fund surpasses $3 billion, becomes largest private education endowment. Another phone at table 10. Library of Congress press release. Photo of Theo shaking hands with a senator. My father finally moved from the stage, walked toward us, face pale. Carolyn followed, champagne glass abandoned, heels clicking sharp on marble. What is happening? Preston's voice. Controlled. But I heard the tremor underneath. Jeffrey turned to face him. You just publicly disowned the wife of one of the most influential philanthropists in America. Flat statement, letting the words speak for themselves. Preston looked at Theo, really looked, like he was seeing him for the first time. You run a fund? I founded it, yes. How much? Preston stopped, couldn't ask. The question too crass even for him. Someone answered anyway. Woman from table 9. 3.1 billion, it's on Forbes. Carolyn made a sound, not quite a gasp, more like air leaving lungs. Gabrielle stood near the stage, camera lowered, phone in her other hand scrolling frantically. I watched her face cycle through emotions. Disbelief, horror, panic. She'd been filming me, recording my humiliation for her 45,000 followers, already posted the earlier videos, already tagged them #family-drama, #birthday-fail. Now she was deleting, fingers flying across her screen. Too late, screenshots exist forever. Her friend beside her, the one who'd laughed earlier, showed Gabrielle her phone screen, said something I couldn't hear. Gabrielle went pale. She looked at me, really looked, calculation in her eyes, trying to figure out how to spin this, how to make it content, how to come out looking good. She couldn't, and she knew it. Angela Rivera stepped forward, positioned herself between us and my parents, physical barrier. Preston. Carolyn. Her voice had shifted, official now, borough president mode. I'm not sure you understand what just happened. Clearly there's been some misunderstanding. Carolyn started. No misunderstanding. Angela cut her off. You publicly humiliated your daughter. In front of investors, politicians, business leaders, you handed her a disownment letter as a birthday gift. Pause. And you did it without knowing that her husband controls more philanthropic capital than most foundations in this country. Preston tried to recover. We had no idea. That's the problem. Angela's eyes were sharp. You didn't ask, didn't care. You made an assumption based on appearances. She looked at Theo. He drives a Subaru and works in education, so he must be poor, right? Silence. He's on the board of the Library of Congress. He's funded literacy programs in 40 states. He's partnered with Amazon and Google on educational technology. Angela's voice carried across the room now, others listening. And tomorrow... She stopped, looked at Theo. Should I? Theo nodded once. Tomorrow we were supposed to announce the largest single donation to Queens Public Libraries in history, $50 million from the Ashford Literacy Fund. Angela paused, let the numbers sink in. Led by Theo Ashford, and your daughter Katherine was going to be appointed Director of Community Engagement. The room went completely still. Someone whispered. She said, was going to be. Angela looked at me. Katherine, the position is still yours, if you want it. Nothing about tonight changes that. I couldn't speak, couldn't process. $50 million, director position, my library, my students, all while my family thought I was stamping books for minimum wage. Jeffrey Hunt stepped forward, phone in hand, pulled up a saved article, turned the screen so my parents could see. Time magazine, last year, photo of Theo at the White House. Time 100 most influential people in health and education, Jeffrey read. Theo Ashford, 36, has revolutionized how America funds public education. His Ashford Literacy Fund, with an endowment exceeding $3 billion, has partnered with state governments, tech giants, and community organizations to bring digital literacy resources to underserved communities across the nation. He lowered the phone, looked at Preston. That's who sat at table 18 tonight. That's who you gave water instead of champagne. More phones out, more articles, more evidence piling up. Forbes interview. Ashford on why libraries matter more than ever. Harvard Kennedy School case study. The Ashford model, scaling educational impact. New York Times op-ed by Theo himself. Public education is the foundation of democracy. The weight of it pressed down. Not just money, legacy, impact, the kind of work that changed lives. That mattered. Everything my family claimed to value, success, influence, lasting impact, Theo had. In abundance. He just didn't perform it. A woman approached from table 3. Mid-50s, elegant, moved with authority. Name card said Patricia Morrison, philanthropic advisor. Theo, I didn't realize you'd be here. She shook his hand warmly, looked at me. You must be Katherine. Theo speaks about you constantly, about your work with ESL students, the literacy programs you've built. She turned to my mother. I consult with the Ashford Fund, have for 5 years. Every program decision, Theo asks, what would Katherine do? She's his moral compass, his inspiration. Patricia smiled at me. He talks about you the way most people talk about their heroes. I felt my throat tighten. Theo had never told me that, never said he talked about me, never mentioned I was part of his work. My mother looked like she'd been slapped. We didn't know. Because you never asked, Patricia said simply. You saw a librarian and assumed poverty, assumed failure. She gestured around the room. Half the people here tonight donate to causes Theo funds. We all know his work, his reputation. Table 2, a senator stood up, walked over. Ashford, good to see you, shook Theo's hand. That education reform bill we discussed last month, my team has the draft ready. You'll review? Of course. The senator noticed the situation, the tension. Am I interrupting something? Family matter, Theo said quietly. The senator looked at my parents. Recognition dawned. You're Corbett Capital, Preston, right? We've met at fundraisers. Preston managed to nod. Interesting. The senator's tone cooled. I'm guessing you didn't know Theo was family. We're learning, Preston said weakly. I watched it happen in real time. The social recalibration. Investors at table 4 stood up, walked toward Theo, not us as a couple, Theo specifically. Suddenly he was valuable, worth talking to, worth knowing. My mother's careful social hierarchy crumbled. The people she'd seated near the stage, given champagne and orchids and proximity to power, they were abandoning her tables and congregating around table 18, the overflow table, the corner, the place for people who didn't matter. Now it was the center of the room. Gabrielle tried to join the crowd, camera raised again, thinking she could salvage content from this. Patricia Morrison blocked her path. Put the camera away. I'm just documenting. Put it away. Patricia's voice had steel. You've done enough. Gabrielle lowered the camera, skulked back toward the stage. I watched her shrink. Without her phone, without her performance, she was just a 26-year-old who'd weaponized privilege and found out consequences exist. My father cleared his throat. Tried to smile, the social mask slipping back into place. Theo, I think there's been a misunderstanding. The letter, it was just, we didn't have all the information. You had enough. Theo's voice was quiet, devastating. You had 7 years of Katherine choosing purpose over profit. You had 3 years of seeing her happy in a marriage you deemed beneath her. You had tonight, when she showed up despite knowing how you'd treat her. That was all the information you needed. Preston paled. The question isn't what you knew about me, Theo continued. It's why you never cared to know about her. Silence. Jeffrey Hunt made a noise, almost a laugh. Damn. My mother tried next, voice softer, calculated. Katherine, sweetheart, perhaps we could talk privately. This has all been… No. My voice surprised me, loud, clear, final. You made this public. It stays public. Carolyn's mask cracked, just for a second. I saw panic underneath, real fear. She was losing control of the narrative, losing control of the room, and she knew it. Angela Rivera walked to the stage, picked up the microphone my father had abandoned, tapped it twice. The sound echoed. May I have everyone's attention, please? The room quieted, all eyes front. I apologize for the interruption to tonight's program. She smiled. Professional, warm, in control. But given the circumstances, I think this is the perfect time to make an announcement that was scheduled for tomorrow. She paused. Let anticipation build. As Queensborough president, one of my primary concerns is educational equity, ensuring that every child, regardless of zip code or family income, has access to quality learning resources. Her voice carried conviction, real emotion. Libraries are the cornerstone of that access. They are democracy in action. Murmurs of agreement. Which is why I'm honored, truly honored, to announce that Queen's Public Library System will receive the largest single private donation in its history. She let that sit. $50 million. Gasps. Actual gasps. Even in a room full of people accustomed to large numbers. This funding comes from the Ashford Literacy Fund. It will be distributed over 5 years to build 3 new library branches in underserved neighborhoods, Jackson Heights, Corona, and Elmhurst. It will establish digital literacy labs, expand ESL programs, train 200 teachers. Angela's eyes found mine across the room. And it will create a new position, Director of Community Engagement. This person will oversee all outreach programs, ensure funding reaches the communities most in need, and serve as the bridge between the library system and the people it serves. Pause. Katherine Corbett has been offered this position, and she has accepted. Angela continued. Some of you may not know Katherine's work. Let me tell you about it. She pulled out notes. Real notes. Prepared. For 7 years, Katherine has worked at the Queen's Public Library Flushing branch. She runs free ESL classes twice a week, serving over 200 immigrant families annually. She developed a literacy program that increased reading comprehension scores in adult learners by 43%. Numbers, data, proof. She works with students from 18 countries. Many of them are cleaning houses, driving taxis, working overnight shifts, and coming to her classes because they know education is the path forward. Katherine doesn't just teach them English. She teaches them to advocate for themselves, to navigate systems designed to exclude them. I felt tears threatening. Push them back. Last year, one of her students, Maria Rodriguez from Honduras, got promoted from cleaning staff to administrative assistant because Katherine taught her professional English. Maria's daughter can now stay in school instead of working. Angela looked directly at my mother. That is impact. That is value. That is the work Katherine chose. And Theo saw it, recognized it, built a $50 million initiative around it. Applause started, tentative at first, then building. Real applause, not polite, genuine. My mother stood frozen, face white. The champagne glass she'd raised in toast earlier sat abandoned on table 1. Angela wasn't done. The director position comes with a salary of $95,000 annually, health benefits, professional development budget, and Katherine will have direct input on how the $50 million is allocated. $95,000, nearly double my current salary, still not Corbett Capital money, still not private equity wealth, but earned, mine, based on work that mattered. The first new branch breaks ground in 3 months, Jackson Heights, a neighborhood that currently has to share one library among 45,000 residents. Angela smiled. Katherine chose the location because she knows which communities need it most. More applause. Jeffrey Hunt stood up, started clapping louder. Others joined. Standing ovation building. At table 18, Jennifer Martin, the analyst I'd sat with, stood up, clapping hard, grinning. Hell yes. Table 17 stood. Table 16, the wave spreading backward from the stage. Tables 1 to 8, the VIP section, stayed seated, my family included. They couldn't stand, couldn't applaud. It would be admitting they were wrong. Angela held up a hand. The applause died down. I want to be clear about something. Her voice serious now. This grant was finalized 3 weeks ago. The announcement was scheduled for tomorrow at Queensborough Hall. Small press conference, low-key. 3 weeks ago. Before the invitation. Before the seating chart. Before the disownment letter. Theo insisted we wait until after tonight. He said, Angela looked at Theo. You said, I want Katherine to choose this job for the right reasons. Not because she's running from something, but because she's running towards something. I looked at Theo. He met my eyes. Steady. He'd known. For 3 weeks he'd known about the grant. About the position. About all of it. And he'd said nothing because he wanted me to face my family one last time, to make my choice freely. Theo didn't need to be here tonight, Angela continued. He knew how you'd treat him, treat Katherine. He came anyway, to support his wife. She set down the microphone, walked off the stage, came directly to me. Katherine, the job is yours, starting September 1st, if you want it. I couldn't speak, just nodded. Angela hugged me, whispered in my ear, You deserve this. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The ballroom erupted in conversation, not whispers anymore. Full voices, opinions forming, social calculations happening in real time. I heard fragments. Table 6. Did you see her face? The mother? She had no idea. Table 9. $50 million. To libraries. That's beautiful, actually. Table 14. They disowned her at table 18, while her husband controls $3 billion. You can't make this up! Preston stood near the stage, paralyzed, Carolyn beside him, champagne glass retrieved but trembling in her hand. Gabrielle had disappeared. I scanned the room, found her near the exit, on her phone, frantically scrolling, deleting videos. Too late. Screenshots had already spread. Someone at table 7 called out. Her Instagram story, the one making fun of them taking the subway. It's gone viral. 20,000 shares in 15 minutes. Gabrielle's face crumpled. She ran toward the bathrooms. Designer dress, camera abandoned on a chair. A man from table 2 stood up. Mid-60s, sharp suit, face I recognized from financial news. He walked to Preston. I need a word. Private. Preston nodded, dazed. They moved toward the side of the room. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I saw Preston's face go from pale to gray. 2 minutes later, the man walked toward the exit. Didn't say goodbye, just left. Another investor from table 4 followed, then someone from table 5. By 8:20 p.m., 7 people had left early. All of them investors or business partners. All of them making statements with their departure. Jennifer Martin leaned toward me. That guy from table 2? He's their biggest investor. Brought them $200 million in capital last year. She whistled. Your family just lost him. How do you know? Body language, and the fact that he looked disgusted. The room had split into factions. Tables 1 to 8, the family and close business associates huddled together, defensive posture, trying to control the damage. Tables 9 to 17, the business partners, formed a separate cluster. Talking amongst themselves, glancing at my parents, making decisions. And everyone else gravitated toward table 18, toward us. Theo fielded questions about the Ashford Fund, about the Queen's Initiative, about literacy programs. I stood beside him, silent, still processing. Patricia Morrison brought me a glass of water. You okay? I don't know. You will be. She squeezed my shoulder. You're free now, whether you realize it yet or not. At table 3, Angela was on her phone, not hiding it, probably texting her communications director, her press team. This story would be everywhere by morning. At table 1, my mother made eye contact with me across the room, held it. Her expression was complex: shame, anger, fear, calculation, all of it warring for dominance. I held her gaze. Didn't look away first. She did. A woman from table 11 approached. Designer dress, pearls, the kind of old money sophistication my mother aspired to. She walked past my parents without acknowledgement. Came directly to me. Katherine, I'm Eleanor Hartford. I sit on the board of the Public Library Foundation. She shook my hand, firm grip. I've heard about your ESL program from Theo. I'd love to discuss a partnership. Of course. Eleanor glanced at my mother, then back to me, voice loud enough to carry. You know, real class isn't about money, it's about what you do with it. Your husband understands that. Clearly you do too. She walked away, left the implication hanging. My mother heard it. Everyone at table 1 heard it. The same kind of subtle cruelty she'd inflicted on me for years. Reversed, public, devastating. I should have felt vindicated, triumphant. Mostly, I just felt tired. 8:25 p.m. The room was still buzzing, conversations overlapping, phones out. The event had derailed completely from its original purpose. I looked at Theo. I need to say something. You don't owe them anything. I know. This is for me. I walked to the stage, climbed the 3 steps, the same path I'd taken to receive the disownment letter 40 minutes ago. Picked up the microphone. The weight of it familiar. I'd used mics before at library events, community meetings. This was just another speech. Except it wasn't. Tapped the mic. The sound echoed, the room quieted. 155 people turned to face me, including my family. I looked at my parents, at Gabrielle, who'd emerged from the bathroom, makeup smudged, standing near the back. For 7 years, you told me I wasted my potential. My voice was steady, calm, no anger, just truth. You said I threw away my future, that I chose poverty over success, that I was an embarrassment. Silence so complete I could hear the HVAC system humming. Tonight you made that official, a legal document, notarized, disowning me in front of your investors, your peers, everyone who matters in your world. Preston tried to speak. Katherine, I'm not finished. He closed his mouth. I want you to know that I'm grateful. I paused. Let that land. Grateful that you finally made your position clear. I spent 7 years hoping you'd see the value in my work, hoping you'd understand that teaching Mrs. Chen to read so she can help her grandchildren with homework matters, that helping Maria Rodriguez learn professional English so she can support her daughter matters. My eyes found Mrs. Chen's note in my memory. Mr. Parks, Maria's email, all 47 saved messages from students whose lives had changed. I was wrong to hope for that. You'll never see it, because you measure value in dollars, and my work doesn't generate profit, it generates people. I looked around the room, at Angela, at Jeffrey, at Patricia, at all the people who'd stood up for work that mattered. I won't waste any more time hoping you'll see my value. The families I serve see it, my husband sees it. And now, apparently, so does everyone in this room except you. Back to my parents. The disownment letter is official. I accept it. I won't contest it, won't fight it. Consider it my gift to you. Freedom from the embarrassment of having a daughter who chose books over billions. My mother's face crumpled, real emotion breaking through. Too late. But I want to be clear about something. My voice hardened. You are not welcome in my life anymore. Not at my new job. Not at my library branches. Not at any event I organize. You made me a stranger. I'm making that permanent. Preston started forward. Katherine, we can talk about this. No, we can't. I set down the microphone. The sound echoed with finality. Walked off the stage. Past my parents without a glance. Past Gabrielle, who was crying openly now. Past table 1 with its abandoned champagne and wilting orchids. Straight to Theo. Let's go. He took my hand. We walked toward the exit. It started at table 18. Jennifer Martin stood up, started clapping, slow, deliberate. Table 17 joined, then 16, then 14. By the time we reached the ballroom doors, 40 people were on their feet, applauding. Not for spectacle, for something real. Angela Rivera, Jeffrey Hunt, Patricia Morrison, Eleanor Hartford. Investors who'd walked out earlier had paused in the lobby, came back in to join the ovation. Even some people from tables 6 and 7, business partners of my parents, stood up. Choosing sides, choosing correctly. Tables 1 to 5 stayed seated. My family, their closest associates, frozen in place. We walked through the doors, into the lobby. The applause faded behind us. Summer night air hit me like a wall. Hot, humid, real. Theo hailed a cab. We climbed in. I gave our address. As we pulled away, I saw my mother emerge from the building, running in heels, calling my name. I didn't look back. By the time we got home, my phone had 47 missed calls, 12 from Carolyn, 8 from Preston, 15 from Gabrielle, 6 from numbers I didn't recognize, probably family attorney, other relatives, people trying to manage the crisis, 6 from reporters. News spreads fast. Text messages kept coming in. I watched them accumulate on my lock screen. Carolyn, Katherine, please call me. We need to talk. Carolyn, this is ridiculous. You're being childish. Carolyn, your father is very upset. Call him. Preston, let's discuss this like adults. Gabrielle, OMG. Katie, I'm so sorry. Please, please, please call me. Gabrielle, I didn't know, I swear. Gabrielle, everyone is attacking me online. Please make it stop. I set my phone face down on the kitchen counter. Didn't respond. Didn't block them yet. Wanted to see how desperate they'd get. Theo made tea, chamomile, the kind he made when I was stressed, set it in front of me. You okay? Ask me tomorrow. He smiled. Sad smile. Fair. 11:30 p.m. My phone buzzed. Email from the family attorney, James Patterson, the man who'd notarized my disownment letter. Subject: urgent legal matter. Requires immediate attention. I opened it. Read the first paragraph. Ms. Corbett, I am writing on behalf of Preston and Carolyn Corbett regarding the documentation provided to you this evening. Upon further review, there appear to be procedural irregularities that may invalidate the disownment notice. The Corbett family would like to schedule a meeting to discuss amendment or withdrawal of said documentation. I read it twice, laughed. Actual laughter. They want to take it back. I showed Theo the email. He read it, shook his head. Of course they do. Procedural irregularities. Translation: we didn't know your husband was rich. You want me to have our lawyers look at it? No. I deleted the email. I'm keeping the disownment. Best gift they ever gave me. 11:47 p.m. Another call from Carolyn. I let it go to voicemail. Waited. Listened to the message. Her voice, tight with control, barely holding. Katherine, this is your mother. I know you're upset, but you need to understand. We were protecting the family legacy. We had no idea about Theo's situation. That changes things. We should talk, as a family. There's been a misunderstanding. Perhaps we acted hastily. Call me back tonight, please. Protecting the family legacy. Not we were wrong, not we're sorry. Just excuses. I saved the voicemail, evidence, then blocked her number. Did the same with Preston, with Gabrielle, with the family attorney. Felt lighter with each block. You sure? Theo asked. Completely. He pulled me close. We stood in our tiny kitchen, in our 480 square foot apartment, and I felt richer than I ever had in the Upper East Side penthouse. 11:58 p.m. Theo's phone buzzed. Text from Patricia Morrison. You should see Gabrielle's Instagram. The comments. He showed me. I opened Instagram, searched for Gabrielle's account. The video from earlier, me at table 18, her voice mocking, "Do you even know what the rental fee is?" had been screen recorded and reposted by someone, going viral, 12,000 comments and rising. Top comment, 8,500 likes. Imagine bullying someone who helps immigrants learn to read while your family is out here disowning people for having values. Second comment, 6,200 likes. She's mocking her sister for taking the subway while her sister's husband funds libraries in 40 states. The irony. Third comment, 5,800 likes. This is what happens when privilege meets cruelty. Katherine 1. Gabrielle had deleted her account, but the damage was permanent. Screenshots lived forever. I closed the app. Didn't feel triumphant, just sad. She was 26. She could have chosen differently, could have been kind, but she'd learned from the best. Our mother had taught her well. Friday morning, August 26th. I woke up to 17 text messages from friends, colleagues, students, all linking to the same article. New York Times, Metro section. Queens Libraries to receive historic $50 million grant amid family drama, by Sarah Chen. I read it over coffee. Theo beside me, silent, letting me process. The article was balanced, factual, but the facts spoke for themselves. The Ashford Literacy Fund, led by philanthropist Theo Ashford, announced a $50 million grant to Queens Public Library System yesterday. The announcement came during a private event where Ashford's wife, Katherine Corbett Ashford, was publicly disowned by her family. Sources present at the event described the incident as shocking and tone-deaf. Preston Corbett, founder of Corbett Capital Partners, presented his daughter with a notarized disownment letter during what was ostensibly a birthday celebration, unaware that her husband controlled a $3 billion educational endowment. The article included quotes from Angela Rivera about the grant, photos of me at the library with students, a statement from Theo's foundation, and one line that made me wince. Representatives for Corbett Capital Partners declined to comment. Multiple calls to the Corbett family were not returned. They were in hiding. Media blackout. Classic crisis management. The New York Times was dignified. Page 6 was not. Society family's $3 billion blunder. Upper East Siders, disowned daughter, didn't know her hubby funds half of NYC's libraries. Gossip. Speculation. But the photos, pulled from Gabrielle's deleted Instagram, from other guests' social media, told the story. Me at table 18, carnations visible, water glasses clear in the frame. My parents at table 1, champagne, orchids, smug expressions, the contrast brutal. Comment section even worse. 12,000 comments, most defending me, some attacking my parents, a few, very few, calling it all a publicity stunt. Saturday, August 27th. News broke quietly, but people in finance noticed. 3 major investors pulled funding from Corbett Capital Partners. Total, $180 million. Cited values misalignment and reputational concerns. Translation. We don't want to be associated with people who publicly humiliate their daughter. Preston released a statement through the company's PR firm. Corbett Capital Partners values family and integrity above all else. Recent events have been mischaracterized in the media. We remain committed to our investors and our mission. Generic, defensive, empty. The Wall Street Journal ran a small piece. PE firm loses investors after family drama goes public, not front page, but in the business section. Visible, damaging. The messages I cared about came from different sources. Mrs. Chen sent an email Saturday morning. Miss Katherine, I see news. You are hero, I always know. You teach me read. Now whole city know you important. I so proud. Love, Mrs. Chen. Attached, a photo. Mrs. Chen, her husband, their grandchildren, all holding library cards, smiling at the camera, at the library, my library. I printed it, put it on my desk next to Theo's photo. Maria Rodriguez called. Maria left a voicemail. Miss Katherine, it's Maria. I saw the news. I told my daughter that's Miss Katherine, the woman who changed our lives. And now she's going to change more lives. We're so proud of you. Thank you. Thank you for everything. I saved that voicemail. Listened to it 3 times. Mr. Park left a note at the library front desk. You teach me voice. Now you use your voice. Proud of you. Mr. Park, 47. Notes in my drawer. 48 now. That's what mattered. Not the Times article, not page 6, not the investors or the social fallout. The students, the people whose lives changed because I showed up. That was worth more than any trust fund. 1 week later, August 31st, Saturday morning. 9:47 a.m. Unknown number. Text message. Katherine, this is your mother. Please don't delete this. I'm texting from a new number because you blocked me. We need to talk. Lunch at Le Bernardin today, 1 p.m. Just us. No lawyers, no Preston, just mother and daughter. Please. Mom. First time she'd signed mom instead of mother in 7 years. Interesting. I showed Theo. You going? No. Want me to respond for you? No. I will. I typed carefully. I'm working Saturday. ESL class 10 to 2. The students can't afford to miss a session. Sent. 3 minutes later. Response. Katherine, this is more important. We can reschedule your class. My jaw clenched. She didn't get it. Still didn't get it. I typed, the class isn't rescheduled, and nothing you want to discuss is more important than my students. Blocked the number. Carolyn tried calling from Preston's phone. I declined. Blocked. She tried calling from Gabrielle's phone. Declined. Blocked. She tried emailing. Subject, business opportunity, Ashford Fund Partnership. I read the first line. Katherine, I've been thinking about how Corbett Capital could partner with Theo's foundation. Synergistic opportunities. Perhaps we could discuss over lunch? Deleted without responding. She wanted access to Theo, to his network, his money, his influence. Still didn't care about me, just what I could provide. Tuesday morning, September 6th. I was at work, helping a student navigate the online catalog, when Denise came to my desk. Katherine, there's someone here to see you. Says she's your mother? My stomach dropped. Tell her I'm with a student. I did. She said she'll wait. I looked at the student, 18-year-old from Bangladesh, trying to find books for his GED prep. Give me 5 minutes to help him, then I'll deal with it. Spent 10 minutes instead. Took my time, made sure he had everything he needed, walked him to the checkout desk, then went to the lobby. Carolyn stood near the entrance, Chanel suit, heels, completely out of place among the families, the students, the elderly Chinese men reading newspapers on the worn couches. Katherine, she smiled. Attempted warmth. Can we talk, just for a minute? I'm working. I know. I can see that. She looked around, saw the peeling paint, the outdated carpet, the ancient computers. Couldn't quite hide her disdain. This is where you work? This is where I help people. Of course, I didn't mean... She stopped, recalibrated. I wanted to talk about the announcement, the grant. $50 million is wonderful, Katherine, truly. And I was thinking, Corbett Capital has expertise in fund management, distribution strategies. We could help. There it was. No. Katherine, the answer is no. To lunch, to partnerships, to phone calls, to showing up at my job. I kept my voice low, professional. You had 7 years to see value in my work. You chose not to. That door is closed. I'm your mother. You disowned me, publicly, with a notarized letter. You stopped being my mother when you chose humiliation over love. Her composure cracked. I made a mistake. Can't you see that? I see that you made a calculated decision and it backfired. That's not the same as regret. I walked away, back to my desk, back to work. She didn't follow. 3 weeks after the dinner. September 15th. Queensborough Hall. 10 a.m. Press conference announcing the Ashford Literacy Fund grant officially. 85 community members attended. Students from my ESL classes, parents, teachers, local business owners. People who used the library, loved the library, needed the library. Mrs. Chen in the front row. Maria Rodriguez beside her. Mr. Park in the back, standing because all the seats were taken. Angela Rivera spoke first. Professional. Warm. Outlined the grant details, the timeline, the impact. Then she introduced me. Katherine Corbett Ashford has worked at Queen's Public Library for 7 years. She's taught ESL to over 400 students, created literacy programs that changed lives, and now she'll lead the largest library expansion in Queen's history. I took the podium, looked at the crowd. Familiar faces. People I'd helped. People I'd learned from. When I chose to become a librarian, people told me I was wasting my potential. I didn't name my family, didn't need to. They said books don't change the world. I looked at Mrs. Chen. But Mrs. Chen learned to read in English. Now she reads to her grandchildren. That changes the world. Looked at Maria. Maria learned professional English, got promoted, supports her daughter's education. That changes the world. Looked at Mr. Park. Mr. Park learned to read at 68 years old. Says it gave him a voice. That changes the world. Paused. This grant will build 3 new libraries, train 200 teachers, expand programs that work. But the real change comes from the people who walk through our doors every day, looking for a chance, looking for hope, looking for someone to believe they matter. That's what libraries do. We tell people they matter, regardless of income, immigration status, education level. You matter. Your dreams matter. Your potential matters. I'm honored to lead this work. Thank you. The applause was loud, real, not performance, gratitude. September 19th, my first day as Director of Community Engagement. New office, small, 3rd floor of the main Queens branch. Window overlooking the street. Desk, computer, phone, salary, $95,000. Direct deposit hit my account that morning. I stared at the number, nearly doubled overnight. Still not Corbett money, but mine, earned. Denise knocked on my door, brought coffee. How does it feel? Surreal. You've earned it. She set down the coffee. Every student, every class, every hour you stayed late to help someone fill out a citizenship application. This is just recognition of work you were already doing. Thanks, Denise. She left. I sat in my new office, looked at the to-do list Angela's team had sent. Hire coordinators for each new branch, develop ESL curriculum expansion, create digital literacy programs, train teachers, build community partnerships. Overwhelming, exciting, terrifying, perfect. October 3rd. Grand opening event for the first new branch, Jackson Heights. 320 people attended. Families, kids, elderly residents who'd been asking for a library in this neighborhood for 15 years. I cut the ribbon. Red ribbon, giant scissors, photographers snapping photos. Felt ridiculous. Smiled anyway. Inside, shelves already stocked. Computers set up. ESL classroom ready. Everything we'd promised. Delivered. A little girl approached, 8 years old, black hair and pigtails, shy smile. Miss Katherine? I knelt down. Yes? I'm Elena. Mrs. Chen is my grandma. I know, Elena. Your grandma talks about you all the time. She handed me a folded piece of paper. I made this for you. I opened it. Crayon drawing, family portrait. Woman in the center labeled Miss Katherine, surrounded by stick figures of different colors. Labels. Grandma, Mama, Mr. Park, Maria, me. At the bottom, in careful child handwriting, Miss Katherine, our family angel. I felt my throat close up. Elena, this is beautiful. Grandma says you're family, even if we're not blood. She says you love us like family. I hugged her. Tight. Your grandma is right. She ran off to join her mother. I folded the drawing, put it in my bag. That night at home, I put it on my desk, next to Theo's photo, next to Mrs. Chen's first thank you note. Realized something. I had a family, just not the one I was born into. And that was okay. November 24th, Thanksgiving. Our Brooklyn apartment. We invited 12 people. Mrs. Chen and her family, Maria and her daughter, Mr. Park and his son, 3 other students from ESL class, 15 people crammed into 480 square feet, laughing, eating, speaking 3 languages simultaneously. Mrs. Chen brought dumplings. Maria brought tamales. Mr. Park's son brought Korean short ribs. Potluck Thanksgiving. Perfect chaos. This is better than the Hamptons house Thanksgiving, right? Theo whispered. I laughed. So much better. No formal seating chart, no hierarchy, just people who cared about each other, sharing food and stories and gratitude. Maria's daughter asked me about college applications. I helped her outline her essay. Right there at the kitchen table, laptop balanced on my knees, turkey getting cold. This was family. February 15th. All 3 new library branches now open. Jackson Heights, Corona, Elmhurst, serving 62,000 residents who previously had limited library access. ESL programs in all 3 locations. Digital literacy labs, after-school programs, community meeting spaces. I visited Corona Branch. Saw a young mother teaching her daughter to use the computer catalog. Saw an elderly man checking out his first book in English. Saw teenagers doing homework in the study room. Saw impact. Saw real, tangible, measurable. The grant was working exactly as intended. 6 months. Not a single message from my family got through. I'd blocked every number, every email, every possible avenue of contact. Heard through professional channels that Corbett Capital was struggling. 2 more investors had pulled out, revenue down 18%. Preston considering early retirement. Gabrielle had moved to Los Angeles, trying to rebuild her social media presence, failing. The video of her mocking me still circulated, career killer in the influencer world. Carolyn sent flowers to the library once. I donated them to a nursing home. I didn't feel triumphant about their struggles, didn't feel vindicated, just felt free. The disownment letter sat in my desk drawer. I looked at it occasionally, not with pain, not with anger, with gratitude. They'd given me permission to stop trying, stop hoping, stop waiting for their approval. That letter, meant to hurt me, had freed me. I closed the drawer, smiled. "What are you thinking about?" Theo asked, coming into our small bedroom. "Family." "Your parents?" "No, real family. The people who show up, who see you, who value what you value." He kissed my forehead. "Like who?" "Like Mrs. Chen, Maria, Mr. Park, Elena, Denise, Angela, you." "Me?" "Especially you. You saw me when they couldn't." He pulled me close. "I saw who you always were. They just weren't looking." We stood there in our tiny apartment. Brooklyn traffic loud outside the window. Radiator clanking. Perfect chaos. I used to think family was about blood, about trust funds and Upper East Side penthouses and knowing which fork to use at Le Bernardin. Now I knew better. Family was the students who sent me thank you notes, the colleagues who celebrated my success, the husband who chose me every day, not for my last name or my connections, but for my work, my values, me. The disownment letter was still in my desk drawer, would probably stay there forever. Not as a wound, as a reminder. Sometimes the greatest gift is being released from people who never deserved you in the first place. And sometimes, most times, that release is how you find the family you were meant to have all along.